Picture a Monday morning where 50 fantastic project ideas hit the table, but you only have the cash and manpower to pull off 3. The default way companies handle this friction is by deferring to gut feeling or relying on the hippo, the highest paid person's opinion. To please every department, leadership just signs off on 20 different initiatives all at once. Your team is now trapped in a state of resource fragmentation. Instead of doing one thing well, employees are forced into constant context switching across 5 different priorities, and output stalls. This chart maps active projects against completed value. Value rises initially, but cross the threshold into the resource fragmentation zone, and productivity plunges. Inside that zone, budget bleeds out. Projects stall, leaving a graveyard of half-finished initiatives. To break this cycle, organizations use project portfolio management, or PPM, as a structural filter. Its primary function is to enforce the rigorous discipline required to say no to ideas that are objectively good. Saying no to a good pitch protects your cash flow, ensuring the projects you do approve have the resources they need to reach completion. To neutralize the hippo effect and office politics, you need an objective scoring tool, the Strategic Selection Matrix. The first pillar is strategic alignment. If a proposed project doesn't directly serve your company's core goal for the year, you reject it immediately, even if it promises to be highly profitable. The second pillar measures financial value and ROI. You have to calculate the hard math, the specific payback period, and exactly how the upfront cost impacts your short-term cash flow. Pitches that rely on vague, unquantifiable metrics, like boosting brand awareness, will naturally score poorly here because the return cannot be measured. The final pillar evaluates risk and feasibility. You audit whether your internal team actually has the capability to execute the work and whether the proposed technology is stable. You also calculate the failure impact. Doing so grounds wildly optimistic pitches by asking what happens to the company if the project completely flops. Applying these 3 pillars forces teams to justify their ideas with evidence. A subjective shouting match becomes an undeniable mathematical baseline. Let's apply this to a real-world scenario. Siam Build Tech has strict constraints. They must cut costs by 10%. They have a strict $5 million capital expenditure budget, and they only have the manpower for 2 projects. They review 3 competing pitches: a $4 million solar roof initiative, a $1 million lean manufacturing system, and a $3 million viral video pet project demanded by the CEO. This dynamic scorecard processes the pitches through the matrix. The strategy column is weighted heavily at 50% to target cost reduction, followed by finance at 30% and risk at 20%. The solar roof offers massive electricity savings and relies on clear technology. It scores high across the board and triggers a pass. The lean system directly targets waste reduction and delivers a rapid ROI. It gets an immediate green light. Then we hit the CEO's viral video. It does absolutely nothing to cut factory costs. It scores a 1 out of 10 in strategy and fails instantly. The data dictates the budget distribution. The $5 million is absorbed perfectly, allocating $4 million to solar and $1 million to lean. The video gets 0. The immediate organizational trade-off here is that the CEO must absorb the ego hit and publicly abandon their pet project. A transparent matrix provides the objective evidence middle management needs to push back against mandates that don't serve the strategy. Passing the matrix in the boardroom is useless if you don't have operational guardrails in place during execution. First, you must establish a kill switch protocol for active projects. If you hit the 3-month mark and discover your initial assumptions were wrong, leaders must willingly admit defeat and absorb the sunk costs, rather than pushing a failing project to completion just to save face. Second, before any final approval is signed, you have to run resource capacity planning. If your team is already at full capacity, managers must delay the start dates of new initiatives until manpower actually frees up. You have to protect your execution team from burnout. Third, leadership must transparently communicate matrix scores to the staff whose ideas were rejected. Explaining the math prevents resentment and maintains a culture of innovation. Finally, look at this chart to balance your portfolio. Allocate 70% to low-risk core projects, 20% to adjacent upgrades, and 10% to high-risk innovation so you aren't playing it too safe. While the matrix protects your capital, balancing the portfolio and utilizing the kill switch ensures you actually have the operational oxygen to execute your strategy. The business trade-off here is simple. You sacrifice creative indulgence and short-term ego in exchange for strategic focus and protected cash flow. For founders, this system is a shield against your own enthusiasm. For managers, it is the tool you need to defend your team's bandwidth. Steve Jobs had a defining philosophy on what it actually means to focus. He argued that focus is not answering yes to the thing you are focusing on. It is the rigorous, systematic rejection of 100 other good ideas. Choosing what to ignore allows a company to focus its full weight on what matters. It replaces the chaos of fragmentation with the efficiency of a single, unified direction.